Okay guys, so now it's time to actually get some painting done. So as we go throughout this video, I'm going to go over all the different rules for watercolor. Okay, you can find these rules on the Power School page. It's not a bad idea to kind of have this up to watch while you paint your pictures. So, rule number 1, pencil is permanent. So any pencil sketches you have, you'll want to erase as you go. So here. So I'm going to start off by shading in my sphere. But before I shade, I need to lightly erase any pencil marks you have. So you create kind of this very light ghost outline. So you can barely see it in this video. Okay. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2. You control the water. Don't let the water control you. You want to use the right amount of water to make something opaque or transparent. Okay, you'll notice on mine, I've already pre-mixed all of my different colors. Okay, if any of these colors get a little dry, just take a little bit of water and bring them back to life. Easy peasy. So I like to start with my core shadow. You want the core shadow to be fairly opaque, because it's a shadow. So that, not opaque enough, not enough water. So I go back to my palette and add in that shadow. Okay, but my midtone, the transition between my core shadow and my highlight, I want to be kind of lighter. So I'm going to just add water and bring out that midtone. Okay. This leads to my next rule. Don't overbrush. You never want to work in the same area for very long, because what happens is, and I'll show you, let's say I'm super excited about doing that shadow, and I'm painting, and I'm painting, and I'm painting, and I'm still painting, and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't like that color. Okay, when you go in and lift it, see this kind of, let's zoom in even closer. You see this kind of rough texture? Okay, that's not good, that's gross, and I don't like that. Okay, and there's nothing I can do about that once you start pilling the paper. Pilling is when you're pulling up the tooth or the fiber of the paper with the water and the brush. The friction causes this pilling. Okay, so be careful not to overwork an area. If you're getting frustrated, take a break and move on to something new. Okay, so first rule number 1, the water controls you. Rule number 2, rule number 1, pencil is permanent. Okay, rule number 2, the water controls you. Okay, rule number 3, don't overbrush. Okay, rule number 4, there is no such thing as white. Okay, there might be white on this color palette. It is a lie. Do not believe it. Okay, do not paint with the white paint if you want a highlight or a light area. You want that paper showing through, just like with our graphite shoe pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some plain water, maybe a little pigment, and kind of pull that in to my highlight. Let's say you accidentally paint over an area. Okay, and you're like, whoops, I didn't want that. You can use that lifting technique you went over in the video to kind of gently lift up some of that paint. Okay. So our next rule, wet on wet versus wet on dry. Again, you kind of covered this in your technique video, but I want you to see what happens in practice. So right now, I've been kind of letting it sit for a while. My core shadow is probably dry. Okay, but let's say I didn't let it dry, and I moved right from my core shadow, okay, to my cast shadow. Notice what happens when I put two wet areas together. Okay, they blend. Okay, so if you ever want that nice, sharp, crisp lines, you gotta be patient. You have to wait for things to dry. I know it's hard. I know it can be annoying, but trust me, it's well worth it. Wait for things to dry. So for my cast shadow, so see, I waited long enough. They're not blending into one another. Sometimes it's okay for things to blend into each other. So for example, let's say I want to add some red. Okay. With that wet versus wet, the two are blending. Okay, causing that kind of nice pluming effect. Okay, when the water makes these kind of splotches. I like that. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. Okay. And like I mentioned before, you can use the lifting technique to pull that white back in. You can also use the lifting technique to add in reflected light. Okay. So in my final rule, I'm going to go over it with you. Lifting. In a pinch, use lifting to add white. Okay, but remember, it's not a solve-all. It won't fix all of your problems. Notice how when I pull it up, some of that pink is still there. You're never going to go back to all white, and that's okay. Just keep that in mind when you use the lifting technique. I'm going to do some touch-ups. Finish things out. Okay, and I'm going to call this one done. For the remainder of the video, I'm going to just kind of go through and do the other forms. Okay, again, if you have any questions, okay, don't feel free to ask. This is good practice before starting your final. Feel free to talk. I'm just going to be like recording.
I'm letting him listen to Vanessa Carlton while I mouth all the sappy words.
That's so cool. That's funny. I have to find some like sick techno beat to put in here and be like, yeah, art's cool.
Ooh, let me show you some songs. Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I have a website that'll let me like find songs according to time because they have to be the remainder of the video.
Okay.
Which is surprisingly difficult to do.
Speckles knows this music.
Here.
She's like, get away from me. You don't have to listen to this.
No, okay.
So it's funny. It puts me in the zone sometimes because I don't think about it.
Mm. Gotcha.
Sometimes classical is like too harsh for me.
I find classical to actually be distracting.
Yeah.
Because it's like so intense sometimes.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just going to sit here and listen to the
Like,
music.
it's so pretty. And then you're like, wait,
Wait.
why am I listening to this? I wasn't trying to listen to this.
Sometimes I'll put on like classical in the background while my kids do center time.
Mm.
It'll be like really quiet. So like they can only really hear it if they're by the library.
Oh, that's
Which
nice.
is where I want them to hear it because it helps them focus. I had a teacher who played classical music in a math class.
That's cool.
And then actually like I got good grades in that class.
Did your IQ get boosted by 10 points?
No. But I could focus.
Mm-hmm.
I play when I don't feel like listening to the kids' music or like taking that chance.
Mm-hmm.
I play like classical renditions of pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good
Ooh.
like piano guys and that kind of thing. And
You guys are too young for that. They get distracted over everything. Anything that has lyrics.
yeah, so sometimes when I have something called a music day where every student gets to pick what we listen to, and sometimes they're like, I don't care, just make sure it has words. I'm like, oh, are we done with the classic, guys? No more of that.
I just totally dirked. I forgot that I had cut up a whole piece of paper. I was like, where's the other half of the paper? I already found it. Oh, that was dumb. Is Michelle actually coming?
I thought so. She said at 10:15 that she was leaving the mall now.
What's she doing? Maybe she's there looking.
Yeah, that's what she said. That was almost 30 minutes ago.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to be downstairs. Because my room's a mess. I'm not letting anyone in my room. It's really bad this time.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just clothes everywhere.
Mm.
I can't effectively do laundry. I just don't fold it. Just let it sit and cook from the pile.
That's one thing I can't. I guess if I leave it too long, I get my clean and dirty confused.
Uh,
And then I'm like, well, crap.
mine are totally
I just put
separate
away
clothes.
a whole basket of dirty laundry.
I used to do that at my grandmother's house. I pull out something that was like funky. Like, oh wait.
So why are they locked up now?
Oh, because we're doing the video.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because they're
Oh,
annoying.
they're crying a lot.
They cry a lot all the time. Gotta be hard. I do it all the time. I have actually I feel bad sometimes. I'm like, how long have I working?
Oopsie. I'm gonna cut one more so there's some extra. I never have that many kids in the afternoon. I have like 2 to 3, sometimes 4. I'm just gonna tidy up the couch so they have somewhere to sit. I wasn't even thinking about that.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Got too many things going on. Like,
Why is it sticky?
sticky.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Okay. Oh, we're still matching.
Yeah,
I thought I had changed.
yeah. I was gonna point it out. Like, oh, nice shirt.
This is an accident, Meg.
Mm-hmm.
While in the same room. I'm kidding. I picked up a shirt and I was like laughing, like we could match today because it was a similar shirt and he'd already picked it up. I didn't see him pick it up. It was so weird. Freaking out.
They did that.
Huh?
They did that.
Do you want to take the trash out?
To the curb.
Please.
Thank you.
Realistically, once your brother moves in, you can put me on the chore rotation.
Why?
We
Why
can-
for no reason.
But is it? Yeah, just because it's like a good like restart time.
Yeah.
To try it again.
Yeah. To attempt.
I liked it.
Yeah. This is my book. Oh my god, my eyelashes keep like getting into my eye. Stop crying. Is it over?
Mm-mm.
It's not.
No, I still have to do this in pastel.
No.
Okay. I think we are.
I'm so paranoid that I have to like run water over used matches.